Welcome back to Elevation Perspective. My name is Mark. Today is our preview of the National League Central Division for 2025. The five teams in the National League Central are the Reds, the Pirates, the Brewers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals. I want to kick things off here by saying this is the one division in baseball I could see any of these five teams coming in first or coming in last. I believe there is that much parity in this division. But I am going to try my absolute best to rank these teams starting from the bottom going to the top with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I was very disappointed, but of course not surprised with the Pirates offseason. Paul Skeens is a generational talent. He's a top 3 starting pitcher in the game already at age 22, and the window has started. We have 1 year down on Paul Skeens, 5 years to go for the Pittsburgh Pirates. At this point in time, you have to assume that when those 5 years are up, Skeens is leaving. So you're essentially wasting a year here by having a very quiet offseason, bringing in Tommy Pham and Andrew Heaney, kind of cleaning up this team around the edges, but it's not enough. Right now, the lineup looks like Tommy Pham, Brian Reynolds, O'Neill Cruz, Andrew McCutchen, Joey Bart, Derek Hall, Nick Gonzalez, Ke'Bryan Hayes, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. The previously mentioned Tommy Pham was the big bat they got this offseason. He's, of course, 37 years old. Still productive enough, has a high on-base percentage, a good knowledge of the strike zone, but it's just not really much of an impact in the year 2025. Brian Reynolds is a very solid, consistent switch hitter in the 2-hole. O'Neill Cruz is a guy that I'm going to watch very closely this year. I feel like he could take that next step forward into superstardom. Pirates legend Andrew McCutchen back for another season to be the designated hitter. That's really nice for morale. Still a productive player as well at age 38. After McCutchen, you see Joey Bart there, a former top prospect with the Giants. Had a nice little stint last year with the Pirates, showed off some serious power. Have to see if he can maintain that in 2025. Then you have Derek Hall and Nick Gonzalez. Not sure what you're getting from those two kind of players. Ke'Bryan Hayes is a great glove at third base. Not the batter we thought he was going to become. And then Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, also more of a defensive specialist at shortstop. So you're really only afraid of Brian Reynolds and O'Neill Cruz in this lineup. I would definitely call the strength of this team their starting rotation. The previously mentioned Paul Skeens is the ace. Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, Andrew Heaney, and Bailey Faulkner. Mitch Keller has been a very reliable starting pitcher the last handful of years, durable, consistent. Jared Jones showed some flashes last year of being a true ace, still so young, still working on his craft. Heaney's a really solid veteran, and Faulkner keeps you in games as well. Then the bullpen here, David Bednar before last year was a very solid closer, struggled mightily last year. I think there was a lot of reports out there he was tipping pitches. Holderman has been a reliable setup man for this team the last handful of years, but after that, I look at this bullpen here, another situation where I'm like, how did you not add to this group? How have you not brought in more consistent, more reliable relief pitchers to go with this core? I get very frustrated just talking about the Pirates. It's obviously an ownership situation. They just do not have an interest in investing money into this team. It's so sad for the fan base. Like I said, generational talent here in Paul Skeens. Smart money says he'll never pitch a playoff game for the Pirates. As sad and as crude as that sounds, that is probably the reality of the situation. Right now, the Pirates' win total is sitting at 75.5 wins. I'm going to take the under ever so slightly. I see this team winning about 75 games, going 75 and 87, just stuck right in the middle of mediocrity. Coming in 4th place in the National League Central, I have a surprise here. I'm going with the reigning division champions, the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I should be a little bit cautious as I say this because every single season, we look at the Brewers roster and we tell ourselves, that's not a very good team, and they go out there and they win 90 games and win their division. But I truly believe this is the year in 2025 the Brewers are going to see a drop-off in their win total. This offseason, they lost arguably their best position player in Willy Adames, as well as their closer, Devin Williams. They basically did nothing to supplement the losses of those two key players as well. Looking at the 2025 Brewers projected lineup now, Jackson Chourio, Christian Yelich, William Contreras, Garrett Mitchell, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Terang, Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick, and Oliver Dunn. I am incredibly high on Jackson Chourio, like the whole baseball world is, a true superstar in the making there. Then right after that, the question marks start. Christian Yelich, now 33 years old, could be off a major back surgery. What is he now in 2025? William Contreras is another stud, probably the best catcher in baseball, but then let's just go down the list here. Garrett Mitchell, Rhys Hoskins, Bryce Terang, Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick, and Oliver Dunn. What are you getting reliably from any of these players? Rhys is pretty much an all-or-nothing power hitter at this point. The rest of these guys are glove-first defensive speedy guys. I know that's kind of the Brewers' MO, but I don't see it working throughout the entire bottom of your lineup. The Brewers' rotation currently looks like Freddie Peralta, Tobias Myers, Nestor Cortez, Aaron Savali, and Jose Quintana. We know what Freddie Peralta is, fastball Freddie, reliable, probably more of a number 2 starting pitcher based on his statistics, but quality enough and reliable enough to be in the number 1 spot. Tobias Myers is a guy who pitched really well last year for the Brewers, but he's also been passed around multiple organizations. You kind of have to see if that is the real deal or a flash in the pan. Nestor Cortez is a quality, quirky starting pitcher. He doesn't really have the best stuff, but he gets outs, and he was the big piece back in the Devin Williams trade. And Savali and Quintana are two reliable enough innings eaters, but not guys you get excited about. It is important to mention this team will get Brandon Woodruff back at some point in 2025, but coming off right shoulder surgery, we don't know what he is either. It is still a pretty strong bullpen with Trevor McGill, probably the closer of this team now. He throws upward of 100 miles per hour, but to me, I look at this bullpen here and I see the loss of Devin Williams. It's a big-time subtraction from this roster. Right now, the Brewers' win total sits at 82.5 wins. I'm going to take the under here as well. I see this team around an 80-win team or so. I acknowledge that I'm taking the very glass-half-full approach with the Brewers team. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Yelich returns to his MVP form coming off back surgery. Maybe Woodruff doesn't skip a beat, comes back from the shoulder issue, and he's absolutely fine after missing almost 2 years. But to me, too many question marks around this team. I had them coming in 4th place. My 3rd place team in the National League Central is going to be the St. Louis Cardinals. So the Cardinals are in a very interesting, strange spot going into 2025. It's the last season of John Mozeliak's tenure before he hands over the reins to Chaim Bloom. The Cardinals are calling the 25 season a reshape or a retool, not a rebuild, don't get it twisted. They did not bring in any talent this offseason, but they did lose Paul Goldschmidt. There was the Nolan Arenado saga all offseason long, seeing if this player was going to get traded or not. The Cardinals tried very hard to move him, had a deal in place with the Astros before Nolan waived his no-trade clause and stayed with St. Louis. It remains to be seen if Nolan is traded or not, but right now, with opening day about 3 weeks away, it looks like Nolan will be a Cardinal, at least in the early going. Taking a look now at this Cardinals lineup here, we have Mason Wynn, Brendan Donovan, Wilson Contreras, Alec Burleson, Nolan Arenado, Lars Nootbaar, Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, and Ivan Herrera. I really don't have any problems with this starting lineup here for the Cardinals. I see quality bats from 1 to 9, truthfully, guys that definitely have to prove themselves, but they will not be easy outs for opposing pitchers. Mason Wynn, a former top prospect, just 23 years old, took great strides last year. I see him being a really quality leadoff hitter, line drive hits, traffic on the base pass, stealing bases. I like him a lot there. Brendan Donovan's more of a utility guy for me, but he's a quality guy as well. He's a tough out. He puts the ball in play. He draws walks. Wilson Contreras can be a real X factor this year, moving to first base for the first time in his career in a full-time capacity. The bat might play up big time. He doesn't have to worry about catching any longer. Alec Burleson showed really nice strides at times last year. A little bit of a streaky hitter, but does not strike out, puts the ball in play. Nice qualities there. Arenado still hit over 270 with his declining power, so still going to be a tough at-bat. There have been times where Lars Nootbaar's looked like a star. He, of course, has to stay on the field. Definitely a lot of injuries in his past, but a guy I'm excited about as well. The two X factors here for me are Jordan Walker and Nolan Gorman, two guys who were big-time prospects who didn't really get a fair shake with the Cardinals. This has been a team who's been in contention for year after year, and some of their minor leaguers and development guys have definitely struggled because of that. Jordan Walker, especially to me, this is a guy who has not gotten a fair shake in the big leagues. Came up in April a few years ago, looked really good. They sent him down to work on his swing, too many balls on the ground, but he was hitting balls hard. He was hitting for a nice average. To me, they just messed with this kid's head for no reason. He could not really find a consistent spot back on the team 2024 as well. I see 25 as a massive year for this player where he's just going to go out there and play every day and hopefully contribute at a high level. I'm really excited for 2025 for Jordan Walker. Nolan Gorman as well has shown flashes of big-time power in the big leagues a few years back, having that 30 home run season, but he's also a very streaky guy, can't really hit lefties too well, but a year where the Cardinals look to kind of have a prove-it year, see what they have in the organization. This is a huge year for Nolan Gorman as well. Looking at this rotation next year, Sonny Gray is a borderline ace, if not a 1. He's a number 2 starter. Eric Fetty's a quality arm. Guys like Miles Michaelis, Andre Palante, and Steven Matz aren't great arms, but they're quality enough that they'll keep you in games. You're probably looking at 5 innings, 4 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs. With this lineup, they can compete on pretty much any night. The bullpen's a little bit messy here for the Cardinals, but Ryan Helsley at the top is phenomenal. 49 saves from the closer last year. The Cardinals' win total right now is sitting at 75.5 wins. I'm going to take the over here relatively comfortably. I think this team is going to win 80-plus games. It is certainly possible that they're hovering around 500 toward the deadline, decide it's time to blow this thing up. They trade Sonny Gray, they trade Wilson Contreras, they trade Ryan Helsley. But to me, the fact they didn't do it this offseason tells me they're not going to do that. If they're around 500, I see this team going for it and trying to contend. As I previously mentioned, it's John Mozeliak's last year with the Cardinals. I think he wants to go out there at least competitive. I think he wants to try to make the playoffs here. So I see this team winning around 80 plus games and being wildcard relevant all throughout the year. In second place in the National League Central, I have the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds were very active this offseason, bringing in Gavin Lux, Austin Hayes, Brady Singer, and Taylor Rogers. The Reds' 2025 starting lineup looks like TJ Friedel, Matt McLain, Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler Stevenson, Gavin Lux, Austin Hayes, Jake Fraley, Heimer Candelario, and Will Benson. Matt McLain is the X factor to me. Looking at the two-hitter right now, he of course missed all of 2024 with the labrum tear. Looked great in 2023. This is a guy who could be a potential 280-plus hitter with 30 home runs and 30 steals. He has that kind of potential, but we have to see what he is coming off of this entire year missed. Lux and Hayes are the two guys who came in from outside this organization who I feel like could really play up in Cincinnati. The Reds also have guys like Christian Encarnacion Strand and Noel V. Marte currently positioned either on the bench or in the minor leagues. It's a very deep lineup with a lot of quality hitters. Going over to the Reds rotation now, Hunter Green, Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, and Andrew Abbott. Hunter Green took phenomenal strides last year, really pitched like a true number one ace starting pitcher. I think Brady Singer is a huge add for this team just for innings alone. I'm not sure how great the ERA will be there, probably hovering around 4, maybe low 4s, but he just eats innings and keeps you in ball games. Nick Lodolo in the 3 spot there, he's a guy with Cy Young stuff. He unfortunately just can't really stay on the field. If he could put a healthy 150 plus innings together, would be a huge asset for this Reds team. Nick Martinez kind of pitched out of his mind last year, got that surprising qualifying offer from the Reds that he of course took. He's more of a swingman starter and reliever, but he limits hard contact, keeps you in games. He's a quality enough number 4 starter. Andrew Abbott has also shown flashes over the years of being a really quality back-end starting pitcher option. And also on the outside looking in, they have guys like Rhett Lauder, Connor Phillips, and big-time draft pick Chase Burns. The bullpen might be the weakness for this team here. Not a lot of great arms. Taylor Rogers a very nice bring-in from the Giants. Quality lefty reliever. I also like Brent Suter a lot. He's a guy who excels at limiting hard contact. And one guy I'm actually very excited to see how it plays out here is Graham Ashcraft. He's a guy who throws really hard, doesn't really have a great pitch mix to be a starting pitcher like he has in years past. But if he's focused on more of a 1-inning, 2-inning, really max out type of guy, he could be really, really good. He could be the closer for this Reds team. Right now, the Reds' win total is sitting at 79.5 wins. I'm going to take the over there as well. I see this team very similar to the Cardinals. I think they're probably going to hover around the same win total, probably around 82, 83 wins for this Reds team. I will take the over at 79.5 wins. And the team I am taking to come in first place in the National League Central is the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs were very busy this offseason, bringing in superstar Kyle Tucker, as well as Justin Turner, Matthew Boyd, and Ryan Presley. I think this Cubs team is just so safe, so rock solid right now. I think the floor for this team is so high. Maybe the ceiling's not incredibly high either. I don't really see this team as a World Series winner, but plenty good enough to win the National League Central. The 2025 starting lineup for the Cubs looks like Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, Nico Horner, Pete Crow Armstrong, Matt Shaw, and Miguel Amaya. Ian Happ is a high on-base percentage guy. He switch hits. He sets the table really well. Kyle Tucker in the 2-hole, the superstar acquired from the Houston Astros. In his contract year, look for him to have a phenomenal year as well. Seiya Suzuki is a guy who puts up really quality offensive numbers every year. Usually deals with some kind of injury, but still really productive. Michael Busch in the 4-hole there is okay. I think we wanted to see more power from him based on what he did in the minor leagues, but still really only his first taste of the big leagues last year in 2024. Dansby's a gold glove shortstop with some power. Nico's a high batting average second baseman with some great defense as well. Pete Crow Armstrong, we have to see how he can hit, but we know he's an elite defensive center fielder, maybe the best in all of baseball already. Matt Shaw is an elite top prospect, 23 years old. They brought in Justin Turner as kind of a safety net in case Matt Shaw wasn't ready. And Miguel Amaya is a solid enough catcher as well in the 9-hole. Going over to the Cubs rotation now, a bunch of quality arms here, starting with Shoto Amanaga, Justin Steele, Jameson Taillon, Matthew Boyd, and Colin Ray. Amanaga had a phenomenal 2024 campaign in his rookie season, going 15-3 with a 2.91 ERA. Justin Steele in the 2-hole has had some durability issues, but when he's on the mound, he pitches at a very high level. Taillon is a quality starter guy. He goes 6 innings, lets up 3 runs or so, keeps you in a ball game. Matthew Boyd could be an X factor for this team. Got that big 2-year deal coming off his very short couple-month campaign with the Guardians. Pitched really well for them going into the playoffs. If he's that same guy he was for the Guardians, an absolutely huge addition for the Chicago Cubs. And Colin Ray is a quality back-of-the-rotation arm, has had some success in this division before with the Brewers. There are a lot of quality arms in this bullpen as well. Ryan Presley traded over from the Astros, looks like the closer to start things off. Porter Hodge, who was the closer for times last year, looked really good. A little bit of a walk problem, but really good stuff. They brought in Ryan Brazier from the Dodgers. They brought in Nate Pearson last year from the Blue Jays, who pitched really well once he became a reliever. I think this is a very strong group of relief pitchers for the Cubs. Right now, the Cubs' win total sits at 86.5. I'm going to take the over there, not by much, but I see this team winning about 88 to 89 games. And that is the National League Central preview, a pretty weird division to break down. It's kind of the Cubs and 4 teams in my opinion. I like what the Reds did this offseason to make their team more competitive, but I feel like they're not there just yet. I think the baseball world is too down on the Cardinals. In reality, the Brewers will probably win 95 games and make me look foolish, but it is what it is. I feel like this is the year they take that step back. And like I said with the Pirates, it's just frustration. With all that being said, hopefully everyone enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching.